Hi guys, and welcome to my tutorial on the chart of accounts located within QuickBooks Online. I have created several other tutorials which review proper transaction coding from the banking screen, as well as how to perform a proper reconciliation of a bank account or a credit card. So please be sure to check out those other tutorials if you need assistance in those areas as well. Now, this tutorial is especially valuable for the small business owner, entrepreneurs, bookkeepers, students, anyone who really wants to get a good feel of their chart of accounts. This is where all of the central information is located for your account in QuickBooks Online. If your chart of accounts is incorrect, it's going to lead to incorrect details being fed into the reports, which you are going to use ultimately, like your profit and loss statement. So you really want to make sure that your chart of accounts does look good before you get started with your bookkeeping. So now I would love for us to take a look at how to create a new account within our chart of accounts in QuickBooks Online. So we're just going to navigate to this green button on the top right-hand corner of the screen, and the following information pops up. We can choose our account type, which there are several for us to select through. The most frequently used are bank, credit card, maybe a current liability if you're setting up a short-term loan, or a long-term liability if you are setting up a long-term loan, and expenses down here all the way at the bottom. So next, we will choose our detail type, and it will correspond with our account type. So in this instance, we have chosen bank for the account type. So now we can choose between checking account, money market, savings account, a trust account. After we've made that selection, which I'm just going to make checking, the name automatically populates here in this field. We can alter it here. Let's say I want to call it bank account number 1. Now, what I typically do is I put the name of my financial institution and then a little X, and I put the last 4 digits of the account number. That way, if I am setting up multiple checking accounts, I can easily differentiate between them with it having the name of the bank and the last 4 digits. As a sub account, we'll look at this a little bit later, but this is if it is a sub-account of a parent account, which, let's say we were setting up a depreciation account that we wanted to appear under this truck parent account. This is how we would set it up. So we'll see that a little bit later in this tutorial. Now, when do you want to start tracking your finances from this account in QuickBooks? We can choose beginning of this year, beginning of this month, today, or we can choose an other customized date. You can also list a description here. If you are utilizing a numbering system for your chart of accounts, you would enter that number right here under the description field. And then save and close will create this new account for us. Let's take a look at this first line here. Now, the chart of accounts starts out by listing the assets of this sample company. So name, we have our checking account. Type, it's a bank account. Detailed type, which is more specific, it's our checking account. QuickBooks balance. This is reflective of all of the transactions that we have accepted from our bank feed and are located within QuickBooks. Bank balance. This is reflective of the balance that is being directly fed in from your bank account connection. This is one of the things that makes utilizing a software program like QuickBooks Online so simple and easy to use. Our transactions are just going to be automatically uploaded into QuickBooks, and then we will review each transaction and add the appropriate level of detail. But it definitely saves a lot of time versus complete manual entry. So this is why I'm a huge advocate of connecting your bank and credit card accounts to the bank feed within QuickBooks Online. Our last column under Action, we have View Register. This is going to give you access to all of the transactions which have taken place within this account. When you view the register, you can also search. There are features. You can search by dollar amount. You can look for transactions that have been reconciled versus unreconciled. It's really, really helpful and can get a little bit more in depth. To the right of View Register, we have a small drop-down menu. This will allow us to edit this account within our chart of accounts, so it will change the way that this information is being viewed by us. We can make the account inactive. We would make the account inactive if we were done using it, the bank account's been closed, and there's a zero balance. We can also run report, which is basically the register in a very easy to read format. If we continue to scroll down through our chart of accounts, we review our savings account, we see our accounts receivable, which are monies owed to our company from our clients, we see our inventory on hand, we see our prepaid expenses. If we scroll a little bit further, we're now into the fixed asset portion of the chart of accounts. So we have here our truck, listed on the books at $13,495. Truck itself has two subcategories which have been set up, one for depreciation, one for the original cost. And you can do this when you create the new account in your chart of accounts and you I'll click on edit so that you can see what it looks like when we set up a new account. Right here is sub account. We're going to check mark that. Truck has already been chosen, so this is just a quick synopsis of what it looks like when you set up a sub account. As long as you choose the main account heading here in this box, then it will have this placement on the chart of accounts, which is nice. We have our accounts payable. We're now into the liabilities portion of the chart of accounts, right? We have our credit cards, we have a MasterCard and a Visa. And because the MasterCard is connected in the bank feed, much like the checking account, now we see we have a bank balance. So this is the balance, this negative $304.96. This is being fed in directly from our credit card company. So again, we can tell we have work to do to make these two balances match. Okay, so after all of our transactions have been accepted in our credit card feed, these two numbers should be in balance with one another. If we continue to scroll down, so we have here our other current liabilities. We have our sales tax payable. We have our loan payable of $4,000. We have our notes payable of $25,000. After the liability section of the chart of accounts, we now see some equity positions. We have an opening balance equity, retained earnings. After the retained earnings, we're now looking at our income categories. You can see here they're all fairly straightforward, okay? Our landscaping services income, we've set up these sub-accounts, much like we saw earlier under the truck fixed asset. This is especially helpful if we want to see which of our service activities are producing the largest portions of our income versus which services may not be really doing quite as well. So here under landscaping services, that's our main category. We have subcategories of decks and patios, fountains and garden, plants and soil, sprinklers and drip system. So that way we can tell later on when we go to run our profit and loss statement to see our revenue that's been generated. For instance, this year, we'll use that as our time period. We can see which of our efforts really has been paying off and maybe where we want to put money into investing in new materials to improve some of these services or investing in advertising for some of these services. So it can be really helpful to see which particular activities are producing the greatest amount of income and which are producing the least amount if we want to invest in those. Labor, you can see the same thing has happened. So labor has been broken down into installation and maintenance and repair subcategories. That way we can tell, okay, now we made $5,000 in total labor revenue. However, $3,000 of it came from installations and $2,000 came from maintenance. As we continue down our chart of accounts, we bypass our income. We have our cost of goods sold, which are our supplies and materials that we utilize in the creation of what we're selling. Then we have expenses listed a bit further down. As you can see, these are in alphabetical order. And we have advertising, automobile. Now, automobile is one of those categories which, much like our labor or our fixed asset truck that we looked at earlier, we have subcategories once again. It could be, registration fees. They could be repair and maintenance for the automobile, lease payments, fuel, etc. Another category that we typically see a lot of subcategories created would be insurance here. So you see the workers' compensation has been created as a subcategory, but maybe in addition to workers' compensation, we have our liability insurance, our business overhead policy. There's so many different types of insurance that it really becomes helpful to have them all subcategorized so that we can really see what our true expenses are. Let's see. One other category that I like to see a good breakdown in, it's not here on this sample company, but maybe supplies. A lot of items tend to get thrown into the supplies and materials bucket. So if you wanted to see those broken out more clearly, it could be helpful to set up subcategories there, as well as utilities. So that one's already been broken down for you here. You can see gas and electric and telephone have been created for us. So that's pretty much it. That is a good review of this chart of accounts. Now, of course, it can be gone into with greater detail. My goal has been to really give you a good starting point and point of reference for the chart of accounts to help you understand that having a good, strong chart of accounts is crucial to having useful financials at the end of the period. These same accounts that are set up within this chart of accounts are the categories that you will have to select from when you are adding your transactions from your credit card and bank account feeds. So you want to make sure that these look good, that the information is useful for you, and that it's broken down in a way that you can utilize to make good financial decisions for upcoming periods. And also to analyze your previous and current spending habits and patterns. Thank you so much for joining me on this quick tutorial of the chart of accounts and QuickBooks Online, and good luck to you.